Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for your attendance. So I think we'll talk then a little bit about the six perfections. I also wanted to mention a little bit about the special, why I'm going to be coming to Jacksonville KTC. We have the good fortune of celebrating the 39th birthday of the KTC. And actually, it is also our birthday. We pretty much started at the same time, Jacksonville and Gainesville, when Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, they came to Florida. And I think it was the same time that he was in Jacksonville first, and then he came to Florida. Is that how you recall it, Michael? Do you remember?
I think it was, I think it was very, very close in time, Lama Losang. And I think it was during Khenpo Rinpoche's tour, just as you said, visiting both centers, which was really very wonderful.
It certainly was.
I think we're sharing a birthday here.
That's
month.
right, we are. So, and it's very auspicious. This is a wonderful time to be celebrating um, this particular event. And I wanted to just pay tribute to that particular occasion as well. I think there was something else I was going to say about that. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, well, it's we won't worry about that for now. We'll just go ahead and I hope that those of you who are there at the center tonight and online can come on the Saturday the 19th for that celebration. There's lots of good things planned. And also including a refuge ceremony. What you probably have saw the newsletter that went out. So we'll also be doing a refuge ceremony. And if you have questions about that, you can ask that tonight as well. But that is the first coming onto the path of Buddhism. It's a very special event. And we can talk about that if you like as well. So let's, are there any questions from the reading before I begin speaking about that? Was there anything that came up either from the reading about from Dharma Paths, or I understand you're reading the book, Compassion and Loving Kindness and Wisdom. So that is also something that we can talk about as well. But any questions that you have before I begin? Okay. So the six perfections, cultivating virtue. So Khenpo Rinpoche has gone over that in detail in his book, Dharma Paths. But the six perfections are also called paramitas, the six paramitas, which are central concepts in Mahayana Buddhism. So we have the three vehicles of the Theravada, or sometimes it's again called them the Hinayana, and the it's a graduated path of, when we go to school, we start learning the basics, and we continue to progress along the path. So the way the Buddha started out was with the Four Noble Truths, which is the foundation of his teaching, and um, all lineages subscribe to that, the Four Noble Truths and the Vinaya, the disciplines that go with that. But the six perfections or paramitas are central concept to the Mahayana, the path of the bodhisattvas. And they guide practitioners toward enlightenment by developing qualities that benefit to both themselves and others. And that is the essence of the Bodhisattva path, is to bring all beings to Buddhahood. So they are, and those, as you recall, you're doing the last of the six, wisdom, but they all go together, and we'll talk more about that. And they are generosity, that's usually the first one, ethical conduct, patience, joyful effort, concentration, and wisdom. So each one is a stepping stone for cultivating a compassionate and awakened way of living. And together, these six perfections help us cultivate a life of virtue and compassion. So we all want to be happy, and we don't want to suffer, and that is within our capacity. So cultivating virtue is the way we gain happiness now and in the future. And we avoid suffering by avoiding our unskillful actions and wrongdoing. So this is the way the bodhisattvas tread the path. So these perfections have their roots in early Buddhist teachings, but they are especially central to the Mahayana Buddhism. And Mahayana texts like the Prajnaparamita sutras, outlining these qualities as essential for those following this path of the Mahayana, and people who aspire to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. So over time, these virtues became a cornerstone of the Mahayana practice, guiding practitioners for both personal growth and greater good of all sentient beings. So an important thing to remember is that these perfections aren't meant to be mastered all at one time or in a strict order necessarily. They all support each other, and you can be working on different aspects of them throughout your life. So also the practice of these perfections changes as your understanding deepens. For example, early on, generosity might be about giving material things, but as your wisdom grows, it can become more about giving love and understanding, or even teaching the Dharma, which is said to be the highest generosity it is taught. So, and lastly, these perfections that you've been studying are not just about personal development. They are practiced with the intention to benefit all beings, and we make that distinction. So this is key part of the practice. So they're about connecting your personal growth with compassion for others. That is our intention. So one more aspect that we could consider that's valuable to know is that the six perfections are also interdependent. That means that wisdom helps guide generosity, ethical conduct, and the others. So they are not practiced blindly. It's wisdom that brings us the capacity to practice these in a fashion that's beneficial. And each perfection supports others, the others, in creating a balanced and compassionate life. So it's not about perfection necessarily in a literal sense. It's about cultivating these qualities over time with patience and kindness towards yourself. We're not perfect. I mean, we call these perfections, and indeed they are when they're practiced to their full capacity, which is what brings the bodhisattva to complete Buddhahood, is by these perfections, perfect generosity, perfect wisdom. So this isn't done overnight. It's about cultivating these qualities over time with patience and kindness toward yourself, and the journey matters just as much as the destination. So on the path to Buddhahood, which you should really consider this is what Buddhism is about, is to attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, which we can do because we do have Buddha nature. We just have to recognize it and nourish it. And we will definitely be able to achieve that, that destination. But we must remember that practicing the six perfections it should be seen as a lifelong journey, right? It's less about achieving some final perfect state, which it will lead to, but more about continuous growth and reflection, which will lead to Buddhahood. And this is the path of the, um, that we strive to practice. It's a path, of joy and humility and compassion. And the focus is on progress. And that makes it really a kind and encouraging way to grow in our practice. So how do we practice the six perfections? Well, first of all, is there any question about anything that I said so far? This should kind of be a review, but if there are particular questions about each of those, we'll go into them in a little more detail. But if I created a little question for you, you can ask it, and anywhere along the way, you can put it in the chat or raise your hand there if you're at the center, and we'll cover those questions. So each perfection can be practiced in daily life in simple yet meaningful ways to help us along. And for generosity, for example, it can be as simple as sharing your time with someone who's sick or who needs help, or a smile can generate a feeling of well-being, both in yourself and certainly for the person that sees that smile. It can breed a feeling of well-being, and it even creates changes in our mind stream. There's a hormone called oxytocin. It's the kind of a feel-good or love hormone. It is naturally produced as a hormone in our body. And when we have love for others, it it's naturally produced, and it's the feel good and quality of a mother with her newborn. It gives her the capacity to really have that loving kindness and compassion for her child. So a smile is more than just a smile. It can create a cascade of internal hormones and neurotransmitters that actually lead to happiness. And, we're going to be talking about the science of happiness when I see you on the 19th, and we'll talk more about those things. But this is what the Buddha taught. So these are for generosity. It can be as simple as the sharing time, a smile, or anything that helps other people in that way. That's generosity. But as we mentioned, the ultimate generosity is actually, as you progress along the path, to give the Dharma. And you may not feel like you have the capacity for that right now, but as you progress along the path and feel confident and comfortable because you have the experience of what the Dharma can do, you can be skillful in creating the understanding and by being generous with your knowledge in that way with others who are suffering, it can help them. So that's just part of generosity, that feeling. Ethical conduct is usually the second one we talk about, and it's about being mindful of your actions, your body, speech, and mind, how you treat others. So it is the cultivation of that ethical conduct, being upright in your speech, in your actions, and even in your thoughts. And patience is the third one that we usually talk about. And you can practice by calmly dealing with the many delays or frustrations that happen in your daily life. That is a phenomenon that occurs pretty much every day in one way or another that requires some patience. And that is the antidote as well to anger. So when we're feeling the frustration that can escalate into anger, or it's also called sometimes forbearance, and we certainly need more of that in our world these days. So that is the demonstration of patience, to be able to practice, calm, serenity, peace. Joyful effort is the fourth, and it is about staying motivated, to do good and to continue your practice, even when you might feel like not doing it, or when it's hard, or we just don't feel like it. It requires some motivation. It requires some diligence. That's the other word for joyful effort, is often diligence. So we do practice in that way. And the fifth is concentration. You can practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is associated with this concentration. Our shamatha practice is an example of that, to tame our mind. Some meditation to improve our focus and tame our mind and make it workable. And lastly is wisdom. We put it last. It's about reflecting deeply on your experience and learning, but it is very important for all of the six paramitas. The key in practicing these is to just practice small daily actions that build these qualities over time. It's about practice and intention. So you can pick one, for example, and just kind of work on that, whether it's generosity or patience or diligence or concentration. So we do gradually build the capacity. I often use the example of it's like going to the gym, but this is mental muscle. It's creating this internal capacity to deal with adversity or other kinds of things that face us. So we are all faced, with situations that life imposes upon us. And the question is, at the heart of all philosophies, and determines our actions we take, is, what kind of a person do we want to be? And if we're following the Buddhist path and we wish to attain what the Buddha attained, which is our natural birthright at having Buddha nature, we practice this. We endeavor to cultivate virtuous qualities. You've those of you who have read the book, I return again to the three primary principles taught by the Buddha in cultivating the mind of enlightenment. And simply put, these are the first, to cultivate a virtue in abundance. And this is the way we do that, through practicing the six paramitas, or the six virtues, and to avoid doing harm to oneself and others, wrongdoing in general, which just leads to more suffering. And then, to completely tame your mind. That is through meditation and taming the mind. Okay. Again, any particular question or comment that arises?
So a good way to start our day with generosity is filling our shrine bowls.
That is a practice. When we just open our shrine, that is an act of generosity. It's also humility when we do our prostrations. But all of the six paramitas can be found in opening your shrine if you have that kind of intention to be giving in that way. It's not that the Buddhas need us to give them anything, and but you give in the most generous way you can give. So that is an example, absolutely. Yeah, so on the path to enlightenment, we endeavor, to practice and apply the skillful methods taught by the sages. down through the ages, and they all speak of developing, the kind of life we want through perseverance and self-cultivation. So we'll focus on a very practical, deliberate, and intentional method, to practice and develop, what is known as the six perfections, also called the six paramitas.
Lama, we have a question.
Yes.
Lama, a quick question. In the morning when I'm doing a meditation, I noticed it's a recent thing. My mind seems more wild than ever. I don't know if it's because I'm focusing and meditating more than ever and that I'm just noticing these things finally, or if it's outside forces, or it's just the manifestation of the kleshas that I have. I just find it interesting that recently now I've taken my vows and I'm meditating much more, that this is happening. Is this a normal thing, or is there any advice you can offer?
It's very normal. It is very normal. And it is, as you say, we are seeing those kleshas. In the past, your mind has been just as wild, but you haven't seen it in the same kind of way. Now you're becoming more mindful and are seeing just how wild it is. And that's very common. And people say, well, I'm worse than ever. I can't meditate. The more I do this, the worse I get. No, not really. What you're seeing is how wild it is. And there's lots of examples of that when we look at the shamatha and the 9 levels of shamatha, how we begin. Sometimes there's the different levels of practice. And that is in the early stages, when you do more meditation and the deeper you go, you are going to hit places that sometimes the meditation is good, sometimes it's so good by a certain standard. But I would refrain from having an expectation about what it should be, and just rest in whatever the object of your meditation is, if it's the breath or it's with object or without object. But just go back again and again, and don't follow the thought. And and again, this requires patience and loving kindness towards yourself. But you are on the right track. And the fact that it seems like your mind is wilder than ever, is really, that's the first sign of the benefit of meditation. You get to see that. Not a problem. Don't make it a problem. Just continue to sit with the awareness of that, and don't follow the thoughts again, and again. Bring it back to whatever that focus of meditation is, to anchor your mind with the breath. That generally is the way we do it, but there's lots of different focal points for the mind to attend to, and we want to stay with that particular object of meditation. Does that answer your question?
Very much so. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, if there are other questions about your daily routine or other practice too, this is the time to talk about that, because it's important to have the understanding, so that you don't feel like you're some kind of weirdo. That you are the only one in the world who can't practice, can't meditate, because your mind is so wild. Your mind is the same as mine. I will tell you that right now. And when I started, it was the same way. But as we progress along the path, we actually begin to tame it. And that's what we say, taming the mind. And there's, in every Buddhist tradition, if you look at the ox herding pictures of Zen, there's a lot of different ways that we look at how the mind is trained, but it's always begins as wild.
We have another question, Lama.
Yes.
When we offer the water at our shrines, what is the proper way to do so?
Certainly with mindfulness, it depends on, if you have 7 bowls or 8 bowls, do you understand each of those bowls have a very special significance. So you want to be mindful of that. The first bowl is drinking water. And this comes, I think we've spoken about this before. It comes from the Indian tradition. If a guest comes to your house, and they may have had a long journey on a dusty road. So you want to make them comfortable. You offer them water. So in the same way, we offer the first bowl is drinking water. So of course we want to have it in a bowl that is fitting. You'll see silver bowls, but it doesn't have to be silver. We know the cost of silver is pretty high and getting higher all the time. It can be a clean bowl. It can be ceramic. It can be, when I first started, had my, um, some of you may have heard me tell this story. I was a bartender and I had shot glasses, not very big. So I'd fill the shot glass with water, and often I spilled more than I got in the glass. But you are doing this increasingly. This is a meditation, and you want to be present. You want to put the water in there to the specific kind of not overflowing, but in a in the same through all of your cups or all of your bowls. So you're looking at being mindful, first of all, but also you're offering water. Not that the Buddhas need water or all the assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who you are offering it to. Um, so you're offering that generosity. First of all, you're doing 3 prostrations before you even turn your bowl over in the morning. So I say turn the bowl over because at night we're putting the water in another container and we're taking it outside. You can give it to a plant. You can do a variety of other things with it, but you're also mindful in doing that process. But the first bowl is drinking water, right? The second bowl is foot washing water. So the guest that you have has just traveled some period of time, and the feet might be dusty and dirty. So it was the custom to wash, So we call it foot washing water. And sometimes we put a little drop of or a little saffron in the bowls, which is a little added special thing. So the first is drinking water. The second is foot washing water. The third is flowers. I'm looking to see that I make sure I cover this properly. It's right in back of me. You can see the bowls now. I haven't emptied them. So the first one is on my right here, and there's 2 bowls with water, and the third is an image of a flower. The fourth is incense. The fifth is the light. And the sixth is perfume water. The seventh is food. It can be a torma. The next to that is a torma that I make in the morning for my offering. I actually make a torma of oatmeal and butter and those kinds of things. And the last one, wherever that might be here, let's see, is sound, and there's a little conch in there. So these are the offerings we make, and we make it to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as an offering, a gesture of dedication, and it's certainly more for our benefit than it is for theirs. It cultivates that idea of patience. And the next thing that you see is a large mandala offering. And that is also on the shrine. So did I get lost in that question? Did that answer your question? I'm not sure.
I think you answered that, Lama, because we were starting with the water. Yes. Yes, Zach said thank you. Yes.
Okay, very good.
And if you can imagine when you're filling your water bowl, that it's worlds of fresh drinking water, because you're offering more than just the water you're pouring into the bowl. You're offering the mental aspiration, so which can be as big as you can make it. It could be worlds of clean water for drinking, worlds of clean water for bathing, worlds of flowers, all sorts of exotic blooms, flowers that you've never seen existed, colors that you've never seen. You can make the aspiration that that the lamps are just huge butter lamps. Same thing with incense. It's a mountain of incense that you're offering because you're offering.
Exactly. You're only limited by your own imagination. It can be as vast as your mind is, as vast as your aspiration is. So thank you, Jump. So that is certainly true. It's more than possibly just this little bowl or my little shot glass full. That represents oceans of pure water, and all of these other things that go with it, mountains of incense, flowers from the vast cosmos, and myriad worlds. It's you're really not limited at all. So these offerings are vast.
Question.
Another question, Lama?
Yes.
On that same topic, say for example, I try to get flowers, for example, for my garden, for my shrine. If I'm lacking a certain thing that I don't have that day, like flowers, is it still appropriate to have everything, or how does that work?
Yes, you can. On our shrine, as I say, I have a ceramic flower that is there permanently. But I also can stick when I have it available. But you also see that we have orchids on either side of the shrine, so I usually have live flowers there as well, and they're offered. So it is, in your mind, it might just be, and you could just have water in the bowls. You don't have to have them individual like that. It's your offering, and it is whatever you have the capacity to give in that way. So each of the bowls, even if they're filled with water, have the representation of those different things that we talked about.
Thank you.
Say you are filling up your bowls and you flip your bowl over and you realize you don't have the offering for that, like you left it in another part of your house, the rice or something, don't leave the shrine with the bowl empty, sitting out. So make sure the bowl is turned over, turn it back over again, go get whatever you need, and then when you're ready to put it in the bowl, flip the bowl over.
And then along those lines as well, at the end of the day, you're pouring out the water. In these other bowls that we have that have the torma in them or have the incense in them, they are in a bowl of rice. And so sometimes we refresh, well, we refresh those bowls with a little extra rice. A little, it can just be, a half a teaspoon or so in each of the bowls, but that it freshens and renews the offering. If you have, I said we had for sound, for example, a conch shell, but the conch shell remains there, the bowl remains there up, but when we open the shrine, you can add a little bit of rice that makes it a fresh offering. You don't have to, at the end of the day, throw all that out, but anything that has water in it, you can uh, put that out, wipe the bowl, and turn it over. And as Jamso says, then when you have everything prepared in the morning, turn the bowls over and fill them. Does that make sense? Is there any question about that? And that is an offering, that is a prayer in itself. And just opening your shrine is an effective practice. That is very, very good. It's not just our meditation. You have a mindfulness and a generosity. We're cultivating our mindfulness as well as we do it, and our generosity and our giving, our upright for the being, for all beings. Again, this is we're doing this practice for the twofold benefit of ourselves and others. So we imagine, when we're doing our prostrations, you can imagine all beings are doing prostrations with you. All beings are with you when you do your offerings, so that all beings gain the benefit of these offerings. Yeah, this is a practice that cultivates a lot of merit. Just doing your morning routine of opening your shrine. Are there other questions? Hopefully we answered that question sufficiently. Okay. So to go on with our discussion on the six paramitas, we could do a little meditation on each of them as well, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about each of them in a little more detail. If hopefully all of you have read my book as well, and the six perfections are covered in there, and the meditations are covered in there as well. And which is the I can't even remember what the first appendix is that we were talking about. I think it's the 3-year retreat, isn't it?
Appendix A is a 3-year retreat.
Yeah. And did you go through that one already?
Yes, we're all the way in the glossary now.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
We're at com. As a
All
matter of
right. So yes, were there any questions? I'm talking about Khenpo Rinpoche's book now, Dharma Paths, when we're talking about this, but there are two books that you've been doing on the Tuesdays and the Saturdays. If there's a question about anything in my book as well, please don't hesitate to ask. People usually have lots of questions about the 3-year retreat, but it's a big mystery. We don't have really anything to compare it to in our culture. Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody's asking about the two books. So the two books that we're reading, one is Dharma Paths by Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, and that's our Wednesday night reading. And we're just finishing up Lama Losang's book, Tuesday night reading, sorry. And we're just finishing up Lama Losang's book, Wisdom and Compassion. The Golden Eight-Petaled Lotus, so those are the two books.
I believe as soon as we finish Lama Losang's book, we'll be starting with the commentary on the Chinrezi and Amitabha practice written by the Venerable Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche.
Great. So just we can, if there's no other questions, we'll talk a little bit more about the six perfections because it is really a wonderful study. It's one of my favorite topics actually for self-transformation. And so these six perfections again are found in the early Mahayana sutras, and as I say, if you do read the book that's available at the center, there are particular meditations associated with each of the six perfections that can be helpful to understand them and to cultivate them. So this is all what we want to be doing when we're people. It's just not reading. We hear it and we contemplate it and we practice. And the least of which is to practice, not the least of which is to practice. So we want to cultivate this Mahayana attitude, which is loving kindness and compassion, called bodhicitta. This is the mind of enlightenment. And all authentic spiritual traditions, the aspiration to arouse and engender this enlightened mind, the bodhicitta, for the benefit of all beings, is the practice. And the practitioner's motivation is to practice virtue and to gain greater insight and greater freedom. So, I mean, we are shaped by so many things, as I said in the book, that, different factors as we grow our sense of who we are, our genetics, our parents, family, social, economic, and many other forces impact and shape our identity. However, these, as it is said, do not influence us as strongly as the deliberate choices that we make for ourselves. And these conscious decisions made every day over time are instrumental, in cultivating our moral character. So they are continually building, we are continually building our character for better or worse. And this even influences our health and well-being. So when we are, as I was saying, we're putting this into the proper context. This cultivation of virtue is more like continuous training, flowing throughout our lives rather than a rigid set of principles and rules. We could say that our first awakening in life is the direct realization that we alone are responsible for our progress on the path to self-transformation. So it's our responsibility. No one can do it for us. And it is at this moment that we actually begin to generate the thought of self-cultivation. So when we recognize, that we are responsible for our destiny, we take our first intentional step, on the spiritual path. Prior to this, we're like a leaf blown in the wind, without a guiding principle for our day-to-day activities. So this view of engendering the thought of enlightenment opens us to heightened mindfulness and awareness and keeps us on track. And I often compare this, many of us will want to maintain our physical fitness. So we go to the gym and pay attention to our diet and sleep and exercise, that kind of thing. But in cultivating our character and moral fitness, we also need to concentrate on certain behaviors to succeed at either of these pursuits. Um, for a prolonged period, we need a joyful and diligent attitude, to whether we're working out for our physical body, but even more important is our mind. Can you see how that is very important? The mind leads our actions. Everything starts with our mind and our view about the nature of reality. So the way to do this will be very particular to you, your environment, lifestyle, working conditions, family, overall health. We're all different. As I say, there's no one in the world like you. You are unique in all the world. No one like you now, nor has there ever been, nor will there ever be a person like you. The causes and conditions that produce this situation for you is very individual. And since beginningless time, we've been wandering in samsara. We've been creating karmic seeds that are being ripened even now. And so these causes and conditions that brought you into this world and set the stage for your development are unique to you. And therefore, how you navigate the various experiences in your life will be your responsibility that requires mindfulness and attention. It's not what happens on the exterior or in the world. It's your response to it that creates the karmic seeds that will ripen. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? Hopefully, yes.
Yes.
We, as I was saying, we come in this world with our own set of preceding causes and conditions, strengths and weaknesses. hopes and fears to be worked through. And following the six perfections, is the guiding light, illuminating every step along the path. Should we go through the different paramitas?
That would be nice. You know, Lama, and you mentioned the meditation. I'm not sure if you've gone over those on a Wednesday evening before. That would be nice.
Okay, yes, we can do that. So just to begin, the first one, it is said that generosity is probably easier for us than sometimes the others as we start out. For some, maybe, for some, not so much. But this is the perfect enlightened quality of charity and giving, this perfect generosity. And the essence of this virtue is unconditioned love. It's a boundless openness of heart and mind. In Asian culture, that is the same word. Heart and mind is the same word. In Chinese, it's Shen, and it is when in Asia, when someone says, ask you, where is your mind? They point to the heart. For us, generally say, where's our mind? We point to our head. But heart and mind, the heart probably rules our mind as much as anything. And there's a physical connection between our heart and our mind. But at any rate, this openness of heart and mind is what we're cultivating. And it is giving freely without expectation, free of attachment, or of getting something in return. There are three kinds of generosity, I think, that you've probably read about in Dharma Path that Khenpo Rinpoche spoke of. And those three types of generosity, are one, giving material help to those who lack material necessities of life. The second is giving protection to those in fear. And third, giving Dharma teachings to those who request them. So the giving of material help can include, charity of all kinds to the homeless, the friends in need, famine or disaster victims. We don't have to look far to see people who need help, and organizations that feed the poor or support animal shelters. This is all generosity, any type of offering protection, comfort, and health services. So there are many other opportunities to give protection to those who live in fear, supporting those organizations and charities in any form that can provide relief to people who are suffering. So we give according to our capacity, which is important, and that's where wisdom also comes in and guides our generosity. Although wisdom comes first, generosity comes first and wisdom comes last. It is wisdom that guides each of the six paramitas, or the other five paramitas that we were talking about. And you don't want to give, to the point that you have remorse or regret. That is, you give freely without any consideration of consequence. Oh, if I give you that, you're going to think highly of me, and or you're going to give me something in return. When it comes, that's really not how it is. So there are many intentions for and ways of giving, and we must be mindful of our motivation when giving, even when it's sharing teachings or information. We can give, with an impure motivation, as I was saying about, your such as making ourselves look good or to get credit and praise for our good actions, to be well thought of or held esteem, or to get something in return. This is not pure giving because it's conditional. So being mindful also of what we give is important. It's the result is also good to reflect upon. So, for example, considering that gifts of alcohol or tobacco or drugs or weapons, There may be some immediate or short-term benefit, but it can be detrimental in the long run. And so what we give, when we give it, how we give it is all being mindful. So giving is the most essential preliminary steps of our practice, and that is why it comes first. It should always be unconditional and free of selfish desires for gratitude or recognition, advantage or reputation. A true generosity in this regard is not accomplished by the action of giving, nor by the gift itself, but by the pure motivation. It's said that, there's 6 realms, and each of the realms are associated with this particular paramita. So we say that the God realms are associated with um, this generosity or giving, but you can give, you can have lots of capacity for giving. You may be very rich and you're able to help many people, but your reason for helping is just one of these reasons, of the gratitude you get, the recognition, the advantage or reputation. So you can be born in a high state like a God realm, but that is a samsaric realm that you will fall from when that karma ripens or when that merit is exhausted. So our motivation in all of these is very important. But to cultivate generosity, it's wise to contemplate not only the benefits of the practice, but also the disadvantage of being miserly. It's also wise to reflect on the obvious fact that our bodies and our wealth are impermanent, and generosity is a cure for the afflictions of greed and miserliness and possessiveness. And in this practice of giving, we may offer our time, energy, money, food, clothing, gifts to assist others. And this is done naturally and selflessly without, a cost benefit analysis, as I say. Any question about that when we talk about generosity?
Lama, if we've given and we realize later on or in the moment that we've have attachment to the gift, what is the proper I don't know what should we do at that one the moment we recognize that we're like, oh, here I am grasping again. Here I am.
Yeah, well, that is the time to do it freely and check your greed, your attachment, and that is just another thing that has to be overcome. But we don't want to give it in the first place if we know that we've gone beyond our capacity to give. And we can have a capacity to give until we've reached the extent of this paramita. And there are bodhisattvas as Shakyamuni Buddha in his before he became Buddha threw himself into the lion's den, so to speak, and gave himself to the tigers. So they were hungry, and he gave himself so that they would be satisfied. There are lots of examples of people of bodhisattvas cutting flesh or giving an eye or doing those kinds of things because they had no attachment whatsoever to their personal things. And needless to say, money was, it was a custom, to give gold for teachings. It was considered so people would give an amount of gold to their teacher to have teachings or give the special things, and they had no need for it. They'd throw it away, and so once it's given, you don't we don't worry about it any longer. They can do whatever they want with it. It's no longer yours to possess. So that's a very interesting thing. We give something and maybe they give it away and we think, oh, how could they do that? That was a very nice thing. I wanted them to have it. And we go through all kinds of turmoil around what they do with it then. But once you give it, and you've done it out of that sincere wish to be a benefit, then they're doing with it whatever they choose. It is no longer yours to worry about. So we get to practice, and we get to see, just how generous or lack thereof we are. And the giving of things may really bring it out, just how much generosity we have. But we don't want to exceed the bounds, of our capacity. We don't want to have that regret or remorse. So be mindful. That's part of being mindful in the giving. We don't want to give everything. I mean, obviously, we need certain things in this world, our own sustenance and well-being. So that is where the wisdom comes in. So we both have to cultivate generosity and wisdom to do it properly. So a generosity meditation, did that answer your question, Mike? There is some static. Where's that static coming from?
Let me mute the microphone here, Spyro.
Okay. When freely and skillfully given, forgiveness also demonstrates the perfection of generosity. So we can use as an example of generosity, forgiveness. So forgiveness means different things to different people, and it can involve the intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger toward another or yourself. So the action that hurt or offended you may still carry some emotional charge. So you can work on forgiveness, and this can help lessen the grip it has on you. It can help us let go of the control that another person or situation has over you and give you the ability to gain true freedom from that resentment and anger that has maybe been with you for years. So letting go of these old grudges and bitterness can actually improve your health as well and peace of mind. And when seen as an act of generosity, you can let it go. So forgiveness can lead to healthier relationships, improved health, less anxiety and fear, and a stronger immune system, and increased self-esteem. So many things, even lower blood pressure. We carry these things; they just kind of build, and when we get upset about things, the in the cartoons, when a person gets angry, the steam comes out of their ears, or it is like pressure. We get so upset. You may have seen cartoons like that. So forgiveness can be difficult, and if you find yourself stuck, maybe we can do a little exercise on forgiveness. So let's just do that. So sit comfortably, and generally you want to sit comfortably in a quiet environment and let your awareness come to the breath as you would be when you do shamatha and you take a couple of relaxed breaths. We'll do this together and we'll do it as a guided meditation. So just relax, relax, relax. And when you're ready, think of a situation where you may feel really tied up with a particular difficult situation with somebody, and make the decision to forgive. That's the first thing. Deciding to forgive involves coming to terms with the situation and freeing yourself from the chains that keep you bound up. What you will be doing as you forgive is generously extending an act of love toward the person who has hurt you or offended you in some way. And when we offer this love, we deliberately reduce the resentment and persistent ill will toward this person, again, that we may have carried for a long, long time. And instead, we offer them kindness, respect, generosity, and love. This is somewhat like a Tonglen in that way, sending and receiving. So it's important to emphasize that forgiveness does not involve excusing the person's actions, forgetting what happened, or tossing justice aside. It's an opportunity to develop our loving kindness, compassion, and to free ourselves from the chains of that attachment to that situation. It's done. That person is probably not concerned about it at all. It's you carrying this resentment or this harm done. And this is part of our mind training. So again, we'll run through some guidelines for the tranquility meditation. Remember, as with all our meditations, we begin by generating bodhicitta. So first of all, we really offer our practice for the benefit of all beings. So again, we begin with finding a quiet place. We take a comfortable seat. Always begin with taking a few breaths as when we're doing tranquility meditation, settle your mind and relax. And then we start with the question, you ask yourself this question about the person who has hurt you. Do you know what life was like for that person growing up, or what it was like for them now? We may not be aware of the difficulties they may have had growing up or recently. Some people have had difficulty handling stress and act out of the fear or confusion. And there are always causes and conditions that influence behavior. So these questions, we address these. They're not meant to excuse or condone, but rather to better understand another person's pain and what makes them vulnerable or stressed and what may have been the conditions leading to that situation. So this is in the book, that you've been reading. So you can always, if you don't have the book, you can always get it there at the center. But be aware of the thoughts and feelings that may be arising and let them dissolve into emptiness. Naturally, they'll be self-liberated, just like any thought as you're doing your um, shamatha meditation. If we just relax and return our awareness to the breath, whatever that thought might be, whether it's an angry thought or whatever the thought is, it will be naturally self-liberated, it is said. It will just dissolve into emptiness because it is nothing. It arises out of nothing and it just returns to emptiness, like clouds in a spacious sky. Our mind is like space, and it is just pure awareness. So these thoughts and feelings and emotions that arise are like clouds in the spacious sky. They have their moment of arising and just dissolve back into emptiness if left unattended. Now we can nourish them, we can feed them, and we can really get ourselves into a dither. But that's our doing, and that's totally optional. It will naturally be self-liberated, which means it will dissolve into emptiness. So they come and go, and we watch them with equanimity and without judgment. So we're talking about compassion and loving kindness and letting go of this particular feeling that we might have for another. So we watch with equanimity and without judgment. Are you aware, of a slight welling up of compassion and loving kindness toward that person who offended you? Nourish that feeling, like caring and protecting a seedling's tender shoot pushing up, in your spring garden. We can see the situation with new eyes. The person may have been confused, mistaken, misguided, and they may even deeply regret their actions. So as you think about the person, be aware of a softer feeling growing in your heart toward them and expand that feeling of caring, empathy, and compassion. And after you have done that and feel that arising of actually loving kindness and compassion, freeing yourself of the chains of attachment to that situation, we dedicate the merit of the meditation for the benefit of all beings and to help them find the generous heart of forgiveness as well. And all beings who have had this experience, which is pretty much everybody, can relate to that kind of situation. So we wish all of them to have a generous heart, the generous heart of forgiveness. So that would be our first meditation around generosity, the first paramita. And the second paramita, as we said, is perfect ethics or morality. And this is the enlightened quality of virtuous and ethical behavior, morality, self-discipline, personal integrity, honor, and harmlessness. We wish not to harm anybody. And the essence of this virtue is that through our love and compassion, we do not harm others with our thoughts, our speech, our actions. And practicing the perfection of ethics is being mindful and refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions that are grouped into the similar types, the four of speech, telling lies, slandering others, gossiping, using harsh speech and swearing, and the three non-virtues of body, which are killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, and the three of mind, which include craving and attachment, wishing to harm others, and holding wrong views. I like the analogy of cultivating our minds and growing our garden. We must do two things in the garden. We prepare the ground and plant the flowers or seeds of the flowers or plants that we wish to cultivate and give them what they need to grow strong. And we also uproot and pull out the weeds that can overcome and compete with our desired harvest. So likewise, the cultivation of morality and ethics includes nurturing good qualities as well as uprooting the negative behaviors. We continue to develop our loving kindness and compassion for others, as well as not harming them and trying to expand our goodwill toward all beings. So when our mind is free from negative emotions, it naturally becomes tranquil and focused and relaxed and at ease, and our loving kindness and compassion will naturally arise. It is unlikely that we can practice pure morality in all things at the beginning of our practice. However, we can develop these good qualities and refrain from expressing our negative emotions. Again, we're developing mental muscle in our practice. We have to see the kleshas that really obscure our seeing clearly and that contribute to negative emotions. And as they arise, we can immediately uproot them, like taking out the weeds of the garden. So these guidelines are in no way meant to be, again, a burden or restriction on our freedom. We follow these precepts so we can enjoy greater freedom, happiness and security in our lives, because through our virtuous behavior, we are no longer creating conditions for suffering in the future. And we will come to realize that unethical behavior is always a cause of suffering and unhappiness. So practicing this virtue paramita of ethics, we are free of negativity, and we are at ease and naturally confident and happy because we're not carrying any underlying sense of guilt or remorse. We have nothing to hide. We're maintaining our integrity and uprightness, moral conduct. And this is a cause of goodness and of happiness and ultimate freedom. Any question about the second paramita, ethics, upright morality? And we'll do a meditation on that as well. We'll see how far we can get with the meditations. I doubt that we'll be able to do all of the paramitas. Maybe we can pick them up next time as well if there's an interest. But we can do one more with the ethics, or we can maybe do patience as well. So I will go on to patience. Any question about anything so far? Anything that we've talked about? Anything about the first meditation that we did on generosity and letting go of our establishing an attitude of forgiveness? Patience is probably one of the most important of the paramitas for our time. Right now, we see this is the enlightened realization of tolerance and forbearance and acceptance. Its essence is the strength of mind and heart that enables us to face life's challenges and difficulties without losing our composure and inner tranquility. We can't accomplish anything without patience. The ability to endure and to have forbearance is critical to our practice. We have the capacity to remain loving and compassionate, even in the face of aggression and conflict. Practicing patience gives us a real great inner strength and the courage to face difficult situations. We are less likely to get upset when things don't go our way and less likely to act badly toward others by cultivating this patience. And it creates a little space for equanimity and an opportunity to disengage and take a breath before responding to a difficult situation.
Lama, we have a question in the chat, and I think it refers back a little bit to the meditation on forgiveness and generosity. If we find ourselves struggling still, should we repeat the practice?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Repeat it until you have neutralized it and brought it to some pacification. Yes. And it may take more than one sitting to do that. Absolutely right. So good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Some situations we've been cultivating this feeling for, it can be years, as I was saying, and it may not happen in one sitting. But we begin to cultivate that feeling of compassion and loving kindness and start to put ourselves in their shoes for a bit. We don't know, as we were saying, what their situation was in that at that particular time that created that circumstance, and to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and open up our hearts to loving kindness and compassion. So yes, we continue to do that until we can actually feel that. In the beginning, we may be faking it until we make it. It says fake it till you make it. So there's nothing wrong with that. We want to continue to practice that quality of generosity and certainly forgiveness. So yes, very good question. Hopefully that answered the question. Yes. So patience also can be called forbearance and gives us the capacity for forgiveness again and to accept suffering. It prevents us from getting angry if, as I was saying, patience is the antidote to to anger as well. It prevents us from getting angry if someone mistreats us, which usually only aggravates the situation. And we can use a similar meditation, if, to deal with our anger. It prevents us from getting angry if someone mistreats us, which usually only aggravates the situation. And instead, mindlessly reacting, we realize that the person giving us this difficult time is suffering and out of control. So the natural uprising of compassion, when we see a person angry or coming at us shouting and with a furrowed brow and a loud voice, it creates the conditions for compassion toward that individual. And we don't have to behave in a same aggressive or unskillful way. We remain calm, and hopefully in that way we are able to diffuse the situation so it can be resolved calmly. And we do our best to embrace adversity and insult and distress and wrongs of others with patience and tolerance, free of resentment and irritation and emotional reactivity. This is the essence of the Bodhisattva's activity, and action. To restrain restrain ourselves from the acting in an aggressive kind of way. It's not really restraint. I mean, we're not really pushing anger down. We're seeing it in a different way. We're having compassion for that individual because we see their suffering expressed in this negative emotion. And inevitably, they're creating suffering for themselves. It doesn't have to be suffering for you. You can respond to this with loving kindness and compassion. You don't have to generate that same feeling in yourself. In practicing this virtue, we never give up or abandon others. We help them cross over the sea of suffering, and we maintain our inner peace and maintain calmness and equanimity. That's key. So maybe we can just talk about one more of the fourth of the six paramitas, and that's perfect joyous effort. Joyous effort. The perfection of the enlightened quality of energy and vigor and vitality, endurance, diligence, enthusiasm, and persistent effort. This is the energy of the Bodhisattva. The essence of joyful effort is having the courage, energy, and endurance to untiringly benefit others without expecting personal recognition or reward. This just comes out of a heart of compassion and loving kindness. To practice the first three perfections of generosity, ethics, and morality, and patience, in the face of difficulties, we need the perfection of joyous effort and perseverance. So this gives us the energy and endurance to continuously practice the Dharma effectively and to pursue our goal of enlightenment for the good of all beings and to continue when things get tough. This is the quality of joyful effort, and enthusiastic perseverance is needed. And we just don't, it takes courage, to practice. And we see the bodhisattvas, as warriors, that really are perfecting themselves and overcoming the aberrations of our ego-centered self. This is our attitude toward our spiritual practice. We will come to appreciate and have great joy at having found such a wonderful way of life. And this virtue has several qualities. So briefly, is to understand the great value of traveling the path and having full confidence that we can do it. This brings this enthusiastic perseverance, this joyful effort. And the second, maintaining our joyful effort despite setbacks that we might encounter along the way. We have to just get up and continue. So for example, we need the determination and perseverance to be consistent in our meditation practice. And when we feel burdened by our daily responsibilities, we bring everything to the path. And so the other thing is persevering in our journey until we arrive at the destination. The big deal for us is there's two faults in practice. The first is not starting, and the second is not finishing. So persevering in our journey until we arrive at the destination. Two obstacles on the path to freedom. They are not starting, and if started, not continuing to the end. Once we have entered the path to freedom, we maintain our positive attitude to go all the way to its completion. So this really gives us a strong will. When we practice in this way of diligence and perseverance, we also cultivate this a strong and healthy mind. This is a joyous effort and gives us a great determination for achieving any of our goals. They can be spiritual or worldly, but even when facing obstacles or problems, not giving up is essential to the success of any endeavor that we encounter. So we are developing our mental muscle, as I said earlier.
Lama, we have a comment in the chat.
Yes.
I love the idea of embodying joyful diligence, recalling that my diligence should be accompanied by joy as a reminder that I often rely on to get me through adversity.
Yes. We are very fortunate to have come across the Dharma, to have taken, those of you who have taken refuge. We rely on our refuge, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Noble Sangha. And that grants us fearlessness on the path. So that's our default position. So we're almost there. I'm going to talk about concentration and then wisdom. That's the last one that you were reading about. So perfect concentration is the enlightened quality of meditation, contemplation, mindfulness, and mental stability. Our minds have the tendency to be very distracted and restless, you may have noticed, and always moving from one thought or feeling to another. We call it monkey mind. In my book, I compare it to training our puppy. So if we don't stabilize the mind with meditative concentration to quiet our restless mind, we will just keep engaging in the same habitual patterns of thought and behavior. So for those of you who have read the book, remember training our puppy to stay is not an easy task. And that's what we're doing to the mind. When we say stay, it stays and it's stable. It's not jumping all around, running all over, and being distracted. However, it is important for both you and the puppy to do so. So meditation makes our minds trainable and workable. So this is the fifth, perfect concentration. And there's no attainment of wisdom without developing our mind through the regular practice of shamatha for stability in meditation. And with the same enthusiasm that we may go to the gym and work out, we're using that analogy again to cultivate our physical strength, we practice taming the mind in meditation to cultivate our mental strength. So when we train our mind by practicing meditation, such as shamatha and vipassana, meditation practice, we achieve attention, clarity, composure, tranquility. This really helps us be present in our lives and to overcome stress and anxiety. Being present is key, and it brings more joy to our life as well. Often we're living in the past or projecting into the future. Rarely are we in the moment. And that's where we find our joy. That's where we find our happiness. Our morning coffee or a nice meal or a nice piece of music, to be able to enjoy that, to be present and with it, and with our friends, instead of being distracted by all of our worries, concerns. When we think about the past with anxiety and stress, there's nothing we can do about the past. It's gone. We can't recreate it. And the future is not going to be whatever you think it's going to be. It is not happening. What is happening is this moment. And the development of undistracted concentration requires perseverance, attention, mindfulness, and awareness. But the rewards are worth it. I mean, you will be happier to be in the moment. So That is concentration. It's our shamatha practice. And perfect wisdom, that is the sixth. We'll talk about that, and then we'll complete tonight's teaching. Perfect wisdom is the culmination of the previous five perfections. And it is the quality of transcendent wisdom, insight, and understanding. It also is the hardest for us to realize because of habitual patterns that obscure our mind's true nature. So perfect wisdom is the highest understanding and realization that human beings can attain. And it is perfected, enlightened quality of insight and total clarity. So this perfection of wisdom, we are better able to cultivate with this. We are able to cultivate the other five perfections: generosity, ethics, or morality, patience, joyous effort, and concentration. And it is this awakened wisdom that realizes the interdependent nature of all things. And we see the essential nature of reality and the profound lucidity of our own mind. So our perception soars beyond any elusive or deceptive veils of material existence, and we're cultivating the qualities, letting go of our ego attachment and dissolve all of our dualistic concepts with this insight, understanding emptiness, understanding interdependence. And while practicing the first five virtues to develop wisdom, we are also practicing wisdom by letting go of our ego clinging and self-absorption. This is the essence of wisdom, and it's the last of the paramitas. So this is the practice of insight meditation that leads to realization of our Buddha nature and resting our minds in that Buddha nature, that clarity of mind. So with mindfulness and awareness, we see how these thoughts and emotions are naturally self-liberated into emptiness. And we see the luminous quality, clarity of our mind. That is the nature of the mind, that lucid clarity. Free from our obscurations, free from our attachments and aversions. Okay, I think we need to stop there. Any final questions or comments?
Thank you, Lama.
Okay, my pleasure. We will dedicate the merit. So, and after your practice, always good to dedicate the merit. So at this moment, for all the peoples and nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. Rather, may pure conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being arise in the minds of beings. We dedicate this merit. Thank you, everyone, for your attention, and do practice and continue your reading and the meditation. And I look forward to seeing you on the 19th.
Thank you so much, Lama, for being with us this evening. Just a brief announcement. We do have a special raffle that we're doing as a fundraiser on July 19th, and I put a link in the chat. There are some really beautiful items in there. A mala that was blessed by Khenpo Kartha Rinpoche, a statue that was consecrated and blessed by Khenpo Ujin, a beautiful wood-carved Buddha, prayer wheel, and also one of the solar-powered lotus flowers that does the chants. So you can fill out the Google Doc and make an offering via our website if you'd like to sign up for the raffle that Lama will hopefully help us pull names from on July 19th. So
Sounds like fun. I look forward to it.
we look forward to seeing you too, Lama. Thank you for everything this evening.
All right. Thank you.
Collect for Jasmine House until the 26th of this month. So go to our website. You'll see the items that we're looking for, and this way we can get back to what we did for years. The center 3-4 times a year was helping out other locations here in Jacksonville with food or clothing. So it's nice that we're back on this track of helping others.
Yeah.
So look at ktcjack.org and you can see the items that we need for donation.
A wonderful opportunity to practice your generosity.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Like,